And a good Monday evening. Welcome into Time Out here on TVNB. Coming up in the next 30 minutes, Rocky Thompson walks out on the St. John Flames. Did Jim Gray cross that fine line? And the sporting world suffers two tragedies in the past week. All that and a whole lot more coming up, so don't go far. And a very good Monday evening. Welcome into Time Out here on TVNB. Jim Hennessy along for the ride. Certainly hope you got your work week off to a good start. And we certainly hope everybody had a great and happy Halloween. Nice to welcome back into the studio Bruce McDonald. No stranger, of course, to Time Out here on TVNB. Sat in that chair a lot of times last year. Nice to have you back.
Great to be here again, Jim.
Traveling around, have you been? Just tell us a little bit about what you've been doing for the past couple of weeks.
I started a new job with Ace Hardware, and I've been traveling, done a lot of work in the Toronto area, and got to see a lot of hockey up there, major, junior, and some AHL up and back, and who knows what's going to be happening when I'm not in town. I could be in BC or Alberta or anywhere right now, so I'll be a scout for Time Out.
There you go. You'll send us
for hockey.
You'll send us a postcard too.
Exactly right.
Let's get right to it. Of course, first and foremost on Flames fans' mind, Friday night game in Harbor Station. Flames lose 4-1 to the Portland Pirates. But the bigger issue at Harbor Station that night was Rocky Thompson walks out on the team. Says that he wasn't getting enough ice time, that he was promised more ice time. Calgary told him when they sent him back here to St. John, got to work on your skills, got to get the skating up a little bit, got to get the passing a little sharper. Wasn't getting much play on the fourth line, and you know, he's 22 years old. Whoever's giving this guy advice or maybe helping him out a little bit, maybe gave him the wrong bit of advice. You know, you hate to see anybody walk out on a team because you really kind of put your feet in that wet cement, and you're standing there, and the cement kind of hardens around your feet, and you're stuck in limbo with no place to play. What do you think about this whole thing?
Well, Rocky Thompson has been maybe the most popular player in the history of the St. John Flames. The fans love him, and but you have to look at the facts here. If he had made Calgary, he would have been a fourth-line player at best.
Sure.
It's the same story here. This team's a stacked team right now. There's a lot of talent here, a lot of high draft picks. Rocky's got to look at this. He's here as an enforcer, plain and simple.
Sure.
If he played here, he would have been fourth line. He's talking about going to the East Coast League. I don't think he'd be better than fourth line in the East Coast League.
You don't think?
I don't think so. I'll be honest. If he played for the St. John Vitoes, he'd be third line.
Wow. Okay.
I don't want to say anything negative about Rocky, but he's got to know what his job is here.
Sure.
And that's it. He's an enforcer. He's a third and fourth line player at best, and that's his job.
Okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate here, okay? Because I'm sure that Rocky is, you know, wherever he might be right now, he's been suspended by the team. Yeah. He's sitting there going, okay, I was in Calgary. They told me to come down here to sharpen up my skills.
Yes.
Now, the question and the point has to be made that if you're not playing, how do you sharpen up your skills? Practice is practice, okay? Now, we all know that anybody who's laced up the blades know that being out in practice and playing in a game are two different animals altogether.
Yes.
So if he's on the fourth line, once in a while might get thrown up to the third line. If he's only playing 7, maybe 10 minutes at the most per game, how do you sharpen your skills?
Well, it is difficult, but I guess you have to look at it from Calgary and Rick Vai's point of view, too. Who are they trying to develop here? Rocky Thompson as a scorer, or Keith Tkachuk? Or, oh, my God, Daniel. What's his name? Daniel.
There you go.
Oh, man. Enrico Fada and the boys. Keith's his long-lost uncle is. Okay?
There you go.
Okay, Daniel and the Tkachuks, St. Louis and these boys, I mean, they're the guys that are going to win hockey games for you. They're the future of the Calgary Flames. They're the guys that have to play. You have to feel bad for Rocky Thompson, but he's got a role to do here, too. He's got to be on that ice when his teammates are being bullied. He steps in and he does his job. Did
he set himself up for the fall when he was en route here to St. John when Calgary did demote him and said that he wasn't going to fight this year?
I think so. Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean,
so that was the beginning of the end?
I don't think he wanted to be here at all. It's unfortunate because, like I say, the fans love him here. I think he does like St. John, really, but I think you're going to see him sent off to the IHL before long here.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I really believe so, unfortunately.
Well, like we said, he has been suspended when we went there to tape the show. We don't know his situation. Something could have changed in the past couple hours, but of course, if it does, we'll let you know next Monday.
Yeah.
Stay with the Flames. They had a real busy weekend, played 3 games in 3 nights, and all against the Portland Pirates. Whoever did the schedule for the Flames this year, no offense, but that stinks. Anyway, Flames lost Friday night 4-1 here at home, 3-3 tie Saturday night in Portland, and a 5-2 victory last night, Sunday night, in Portland as well. Got to talk about Sunday's game first. It's the one that sticks out in my mind. Big game for Rico Fata. They expect big things from this kid, and he's, season's young, and he is starting to show that stride and ability that Calgary, made him such a high draft pick for. 2 goals last night. Like you said, you were in Portland. He didn't get a game star.
No. Well, it was a shocker. The 3 stars, number 1 was Dave Roche. He deserved one.
2
Number
goals
2
for
was
Roche.
John-Sebastian Giguère. He played well. Number 3 was Sergei Varlamov, and he didn't play bad either. He played defense for the second half of the game, actually, when they with Sorokin and Sharon out hurt, and then Matt O'Dek got tossed. So he played defense, and he played well there. But Fado really won that game for them, in my opinion. He was responsible for both of Roche's goals, and he scored 2 himself, including the empty netter. I was really impressed with Jeff Staples on defense and Darryl Scoville, how they stepped up yesterday under the circumstances, and they played well. Actually, the 2 games in Portland, what can you say? They played great in both games. Ty Garner played Saturday night, played great in net as well. The team worked hard, 2 hard-hitting games, and they deserved 3 out of 4 for sure. St.
John went on a 6-game unbeaten streak.
Yes.
Then, of course, had it snapped in Quebec. Of course, Quebec being the defunct now Fredericton Canadians. The rivalry's still there. You get a chance to get up there in Quebec as well. Michel Therrien is still behind the bench, and Rick Vive, and we know that those two don't get along at all. There's no polite way to put that. The rivalry's still there. Can you still feel it when you walk into the building?
No, you couldn't feel it up there in Quebec right now. I hope it develops, but you're in an arena there that holds about 17,000 people, and there might have been 2,500 people in the rink. And
really?
And I bought cheap seats and sat in the best seats in the house. So. So
2,500 in the Coliseum.
Yeah, I kept on looking up at that roof, watching all Mark Tardif's name and Michel Goulet, and you look at the way they run things there, and you can tell the people go back look at this as a minor league team instead of their team. The guys doing the off-ice officials here, they wear their blazers and dress clothes, and they look professional here. Up there, they wear a jacket and a pair of pants, like a pair of jeans or something, and they're screwing up the clock left and right, and
so they're still bitter.
Yeah, the guy doing the visitors penalty box, I think, got his nose broken. The glass let go on him.
What?
Body check there, and the glass came down on him. You look in, he's got the towel over him, blood pouring everywhere. And I said,
I mean, to put things in perspective, I think Quebec should be grateful. I mean,
definitely.
The NHL in Canada, as we all know, is sadly but slowly falling like the leaves outside the studio here. Montreal just barely hanging on. Toronto seems to be the only team that's got a little bit of money, but I mean, they filled it every night, whether it was the Air Canada Centre or Maple Leaf Gardens. Vancouver in some huge trouble. Team playing extremely well, off to a good start. Saturday night, 11,000 at GM Place.
Was that right?
They just can't continue to survive. I mean, are we going to see a tax break given here? Are they finally going to give in and say, we really can't afford to lose this, because if we do, we're going to lose money anyway, so maybe it's time to put a little money back into it?
I don't think the federal government's going to give any money. They already made that clear. The Ontario provincial government's going to pitch in and help the Ottawa Senators. They've made that point clear now. So I can see within, hopefully it'll be 10 years, maybe 5 years' time, you're going to see Montreal, Toronto, and hopefully Vancouver will still be around, but Edmonton, Calgary, and Ottawa will be gone. Ottawa, I read the Ottawa Sun on the way through last week through Ottawa, and they basically are saying that team could be moving to Oklahoma City.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's hard to say right now. I hope it doesn't happen, but I can see it, really. I'd like to see a Canadian Professional Hockey League form down the road sometime. I mean, all the major cities, former NHL cities, and others right across the country. Have Canadian players only, Don Cherry.
Jeez, where's this all coming from? Anyway, we'll turn the page, flip over to baseball. Of course, last week the Yankees wrapped up another World Series. It just appears that this team is a juggernaut. There doesn't appear to be anybody that can beat them. I see you smiling. But, I mean, you take a look down the road. Last couple of years, I mean, they won 3 out of 4. This is their second one in a row.
Yes.
I mean, they handily beat Atlanta. The best that the National League could throw at them, they just swept them away like a fly on your arm in the middle of July.
Well, I'll make a point on that.
the umpiring. You're going to bring
George Steinbrenner.
Yeah, here we go.
Bought the Expos tomorrow, they'd win the World Series a year's time.
Really?
He bought that again. No doubt about it.
What professional team doesn't go out and buy?
That's
Blue
the
Jays
problem.
did it.
That's the problem right there. So, I don't know. Winning that World Series, the Stanley Cup, just doesn't mean a lot to me anymore, to be honest. Like I say, every team that's won the last 10 years, they bought a championship. The Florida Marlins, same thing, right? You know, I mean, I can't stand the Yankees. What can I say?
I never would have guessed, Bruce. You're shocking me.
I know
here.
you're a Yankee fan, but I don't know how you can be a Yankee fan and a Habs fan.
I'm not a big, huge Yankee.
You can't be a Yankee fan and a Habs fan.
No. I'm not a Yankees fan. I just said I can't stand Ted Turner.
That's like a fellow I met in Toronto. He told me, he said I'm a Montreal fan and a Boston fan. I said, that's impossible. You can't be both.
That doesn't happen. That's just like kissing your sister and saying I enjoyed it. No, that just can't happen. Anyway, let's stay with baseball here.
Yeah.
The All-Century team was named during the World Series. Controversial interview. Us being on this side of the microphone, I can relate a little bit to what Jim Gray did. Of course, I'm sure that you've heard about it 1,000 times, talked about it at the water cooler at work. Jim Gray had a chance to interview Pete Rose after the All-Century team was named. Rose got a huge ovation from the fans in Atlanta. They just, gave him about a 2-3 minute standing ovation. No question about it. You'll never get an argument out of this brain that he doesn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. All-time hits leader, no question. But the thing is that Gray was asking him a legitimate question. Now, I've done a lot of interviews, and the thing that I always do, if there's time before I start an interview, is say, is there anything you don't want to talk about? Now, with Rose, obviously, you're not going to ask that question because he's going to say, I don't want to talk about my gambling problem. The thing is, this guy won't admit that he's got a gambling problem. If he picked up the phone tomorrow, called Bud Selig, said, Bud, look, it's been 10 years, it's water under the bridge, it's time for me to stand up and be a man here. I admit, I gambled, I had a problem, I'm trying to get over it. There's my apology. He'd be in the Hall of Fame next week. But he won't admit it. That's the thing. Now, did you think that Jim Gray went over the line? He did browbeat him. There's no debating that. But as a fan, and has been listening to this saga for the past 10 years, I wanted to know what Pete Rose had to say on that issue.
Well, I think he went over the line, definitely. I mean, in that situation, there you have a night for Pete Rose and the other living members of the All-Century team, right?
That's fine.
That's great, but he didn't have to come out and say it the way he said it. He said to Pete Rose, why don't you just admit to everybody that you bet on baseball?
No, he didn't say that.
Oh, yes, he did.
No, he did not.
Sure he did.
Pete had his moment in the sun. He stood up there on the podium, got his 3-minute ovation. It's not like Jim ran up on the podium and said, Pete, do you have a minute? You know what I mean?
Did he not say it that way to him?
I don't think so. Not that I can recollect.
Anyway, that's not the point. The point I'm trying to make here is, in that situation, everyone that's a ball fan, I think we all know that Pete Rose bet on baseball.
Sure.
I mean, he wouldn't admit it. If he had to come out and fought it, or even like you say, if he admitted it now, it would be water under the bridge. No doubt about it. He deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
No question.
But I think in that particular situation, it wasn't the right situation to say it. I mean, I don't think those fans in the stadium or the fans on TV appreciated that at all. I don't think so.
I wanted to know.
Yeah, I know you
did. As a fan, I wanted to know.
I know. I think Pete Rose should come out in his own time and tell the fans that. But I don't think that was a proper time.
And, of course, Jim Gray, the following night, he gets snubbed. Chad Curtis hits the game-winning home run. Jim walks over to him and says, Chad, you must be feeling on top of the world. He says, well, Jim, he said, as a club, we talked about this, and we don't feel that you treated Pete very well. We don't want to talk to you, so I just wanted to let you know, Grandma, that one was for you. And he walked off the field. In my opinion, that doesn't show a lot of class.
No, it doesn't.
You're a professional ball player. Jim Gray's got a job to do, just like you do, and I do, and everybody else does. I don't know. I just think, and I mean, Joe Torre came out the next day, apologized profusely. George Steinbrenner did the same. Steinbrenner doesn't want any bad press. He's about to clinch his second World Series in a row. He doesn't want this thing to blow into a media circus. I mean, Steinbrenner's been in the spotlight enough. He wants to enjoy it and let it go.
That's right.
Chad Curtis stepped out of line, didn't he?
Oh, yes. I mean, he said he had talked to his teammates, and the team had agreed not to talk to Mr. Gray. I mean, and then, of course, Torre came out and said there's no such conversation amongst the team. I mean, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. Maybe he's just trying to cover up for it at that point. Who knows? But really, in that situation, you talk to the guy. I mean, it's a national network covering this event, and you don't want to make the Yankees look bad. They do a good enough job on their own.
I thought NBC showed a lot of class by saying that Jim Gray would be in the Yankees locker room if they did clinch the next night. So the saga goes on. Should Pete Rose be in the Hall of Fame? Absolutely, no doubt about it. Should he have answered the question? Absolutely, he should have. Anyway, we
Okay.
won't get into that anymore. Still got a whole lot more to come up, so we certainly hope you stick around and enjoy the second half of Time Out here on TVNB. Got a brand new segment on the show this week. It's called Sport Snippets. Now, what we would like to do, it's kind of like America's Funniest Home Videos, except some they don't have to be funny, and I'm definitely not Bob Saget. What we'd like you to do is if you filmed a sporting event last summer, sometime this fall, want to send us in the tape so we can show the highlights here and show somebody maybe hitting a game-winning home run or scoring that winning touchdown. No problem. Just send it to us here at TVNB, care of Don Ferguson, and we have a sports snippet for you to kick back and enjoy right now. And welcome back into the second half of Time Out here on TVNB. Nice to have you tuned in. Hope your Monday evening is going well, Bruce. We always try to have a little bit of fun when we're talking about sports. You can't take it too serious, but a couple of serious incidents happened early last week and one just yesterday on Sunday. First, we'll talk about Payne Stewart. Huge loss to the entire golfing world. Of course, a huge loss to his family and all his fans as well. Payne, the unfortunate incident was a plane crash. The one good thing, if anything, I guess that came out of this is they said he didn't suffer when the plane crashed because investigators now believe that they were dead, you know, just shortly after takeoff because the cabin pressure was lost or something like that. They held a huge memorial service in Orlando for him on Friday. The Tour Championship was put on hold, which Tiger Woods did win, we should mention. Just as kind of a side note after that weekend, thought it showed a lot of class. Most of the golfers yesterday in the field at the Tour Championship wore the knickers that Payne was so famous for, and you know, the old Irish cap that he always had on playing golf. But the comments were an outstanding family man, you know, two-time U.S. Open winner, won the PGA Championship, and they said he had one of the sweetest swings you've ever seen on a golfer. If you've ever seen the guy take a swing, you'd have to agree. Just it was a shock when I heard it.
Oh, yeah. See, for years, everyone knew Payne Stewart as a hard luck loser, second place finisher countless times. An errant shot at the wrong time and cost him major championships. Then, of course, he won the U.S. Open a few years back, and he won it again this year. And like I say, he was on top of his game. He's 42 years old, and he was right now, he finished the year, I believe, third on the money list this year.
Sure did.
So like I said, it was a shock to everybody. I mean, the way it happened, too. You hear about a crash in South Dakota, and you're saying, what the heck was he doing in South Dakota?
Exactly.
You know, flying from Orlando to Dallas, and then all the details came out. And like you say, the odds were everyone, the pilots and everyone on the plane were dead long before the thing crashed. So that's the only good thing I guess you can say about it. So it's sad.
Not even 7 days go by, and yesterday the auto racing world was, you know, rocked with the passing of Greg Moore, 24 years old. Of course, really made a name for himself in the IndyCar light circuit. You know, one of the up-and-coming racers. Every time someone did an interview with him or they showed highlights, I mean, this guy was, you know, in the top 5 or either winning a race, and the ability he showed behind the wheel for such a young age. And I mean, I'm not trying to pass myself off here as a, you know, an auto racing fan by any stretch, but watching some of the highlights yesterday and just listening to how people talked about this guy, said he was so mature and he was beyond his years when he got behind that wheel. And I know that must have hit home just like Payne Stewart would golfing-wise for me when you found out the news yesterday that Greg Moore passed away.
Well, I'm a huge racing fan, as all my friends know, and that was a shocker to me. I came back from Portland. It was on TSN when I got back, and I'm still in shock on this one. I mean, it just he was such an ambassador for Canada as well. I mean, you always saw him saying what a proud Canadian he was. He had the Canadian flag on him in his car, and he was moving from the players' team next year over to Roger Penske Racing. And any racing fan knows that's like the Cadillacs of the racing league. I mean, that's the team with all the money and so on. So for me, it really brought back memories back in 1982 when Gilles Villeneuve died in qualifying for the Belgium Grand Prix. And I can still see that crash in my head whenever I see an auto race, I think of that crash. See him touching wheels with another driver and the car flipping over, and I see him come flying out into a chain link fence. And this one here is going to stick in my mind as well too. When you know, down the road, you're going to think of these two crashes. And I guess for anyone that wants to see pictures of the crash, I got some pictures here. We can't show them on the air because we can't scan in on them.
We can put them close enough.
But if you're on the internet, check out www.usatoday.com/sports, and they've got pictures of the crash here, and it's pretty graphic. And
one of the arguments, not even really an argument, more of a question that everybody they were interviewing last night was asking was, when he was going 350 kilometers an hour. I mean, that's just almost unimaginable. I mean, sometimes, hope no RCMP or police officers are watching, but sometimes the odd time I might get it up to 120 kilometers an hour coming down the Mackay Highway or whatever the case might be, and you look out the window, you just happen to glance, and everything's just zipping by so fast, and you think, you know, I'm motoring here, I'm making some good time, but 350 kilometers an hour, are these cars built for too much speed, Bruce? Or?
It looks like it. I mean, I put the cruise control at 130, Jim, myself. So, but 350, we can't imagine what that's like. No. It's just incredible. And one little slip up, if it was a slip up or whatever caused this, I guess we have to mention too. He had been in an accident the day before.
That's right.
He was on his bike or something, whatever it was, and some woman cut in and crashed into him, and he broke his finger, and he had a cut down to the bone. He had stitches there, and I guess the questions will be asked for years to come. Should he have been allowed to race at that speed? I mean, they're saying that didn't cause the wreck, but I guess the only question I have, and not knowing, obviously we never driven a car anywhere near that speed, but could it have something to do with him when he did lose it? Could he have saved it if he had full strength hand? Maybe not, who knows, but that question will be asked for years to come.
Yeah,
it's just a sad day for Canada.
Just a shocker all the way around. 24 years old to be, you know, ripped away in the prime of his life. I mean, his family, of course, you know, and just his racing career in general. We'll flip the page, try to lighten things back up here a little bit. I guess we'll talk about, what do you think about, I really don't know how to term this all the way around because it's been such a big, huge debate with the Canadian hockey clubs. Touched on it there in the first half a little bit, but, you know, does Rod Brydon pack up his team and move it out of Ottawa? I mean, you look at the success story they've been. Got knocked out of the playoffs in the first round last year. Yeah, you got to understand that. I mean, it happens. Not much not playoff experience in that lineup. So you can understand how they might have got knocked out. You look at teams like Montreal who've been around for so long, legacy and the dynasty. The Maple Leafs in that same category. Edmonton, not a legacy, but a dynasty, no question about that. Calgary's won a Stanley Cup. Vancouver, brand new building they play out of. Can they survive? Or is this just a foregone conclusion that Montreal, Toronto, and let's say Vancouver are going to be the only teams left in Canada?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe 5 years, 10 years time. You'll be back to when we were growing up. Remember Montreal, Toronto, and Vancouver, and our time period. Of course, before us, it was just Montreal and Toronto. But when we were young, people our age in their 30s, they remember Montreal, Toronto, Vancouver.
Vancouver's uniforms were a little uglier.
Oh, they were pretty wild then, weren't they? That was original with a stick. Anyway,
pajamas.
So we, I can see that, Jim. You're going to see maybe the three teams, and it's pretty sad, you know, when you look at Ottawa Senators possibly moving to Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you're going to see Calgary move to Mexico City. Who knows?
That'd be interesting.
It's pretty scary when you think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, what the Mexicans know about hockey. Hey, you never know. You never know. I mean, if they have a 20,000-seat arena with 75 to 100 luxury boxes, they'll go there.
Hey, bottom line is, if you get the money, you know, Gary Bettman and the NHL have got the time. Just real quick, we'll stay on the NHL here. How about former St. John Flames head coach, the Cat, Bobby Francis? How about the job he's doing with that team in Phoenix?
It's pretty incredible, isn't it? Considering they're missing their top goalie for starters, Nikolai Happy Bulin's out, Stelechnikov, and the other joker that's in there are doing a pretty good job. The way I shouldn't say that, but I don't know. It seems to me, I can't imagine how goaltenders have come from being so weak that they were in the mid-'80s to every team's at two Terry Sawchuk's
Two
now.
powerhouses now, yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah.
Ron Green comes up to Providence. He looks like the next coming of Jerry Cheevers. Come on. I think it must be a lot easier to play goal in the National Hockey League now. The equipment, the style of play now.
Yeah.
I mean, there's only about half dozen teams with goals against average as a team over 3.
Yeah.
I mean, but going back to Francis, he has done a great job down there in Phoenix.
Job.
I mean, they had a lot of talent in Winnipeg, and they've carried it right on when they moved to Phoenix, and they could go all the way. You never know.
Certainly proves that, you know, all those years that Bob was saying, hey, I deserve a shot in the NHL. Certainly does. Local front, we got to mention about an hour ago, got underway in Grand Bay. The first game in the high school hockey skid, Harborview High taking on Oromocto, and I know there's a lake now close to your heart that you want to mention, so the floor is yours, my friend.
Okay, we just got a couple of notes here. For the people that aren't aware, we've now got 2 high school hockey leagues in the city here, more or less. This happened last year, and we've had some more changes this year. So for the fans that want to go out and watch high school hockey, here's what we have. We have what we call our Southwest Hockey League, which is all the AAA, mainly the AAA schools. This right now encompasses St. John High School, St. Max, Simons, KVHS, Oromocto, Fredericton High School, Saint de Junes from Edmundston. Now, along with those guys, Hampton High School and Harborview have moved up to play in that league.
Wow.
Now, we also have our Southern Conference, which is just AA schools right now. We have Sussex High School, which are back after being away for several years, Rossay High School, Rossay Collegiate School, St. Stephen, Sir James Dunn from St. Andrews, Minto, and Funday. So really in the St. John and the surrounding area here, if you want to see a high school hockey game, you can see one more or less every night of the week right now.
I would think so, with those amount of teams.
And it's good quality hockey. I mean, compared to the midgets right now, I mean, the midgets aren't, I don't want to say anything negative about the midgets, but they're not playing well right now. And you're going to see some competitive hockey here, rugged hockey, and very good hockey. So go on out. It's, you know, it's $3 to get in, or if you're a student, it's $1 or $2, so you can't go wrong.
Can't beat the price.
Yeah.
It's definitely right. Totally out of time. I'd like to thank everybody for dropping by, spending your Monday evening with us. Well, at least 30 minutes of it. Make sure you drop by again next Monday night, 7 o'clock for Time Out, right here on TVNB. And don't forget, get out and buy yourself a poppy, too. I know. You lost it. Bruce lost his on the way in.
It's in the car.
He's forgiven. He'll have his on if he's back with us next week. Bruce, as always, man, great pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll talk to you again next Monday at 7 o'clock.